What would you say to those that believe that there is no such thing as evil per se? Maybe aberrant behaviors exist, but what would you say to somebody who says, well, I don't believe there's evil, even though we know that there's many awful things that I guess the word's evil, but I guess some would say, well, that's nothing maybe spiritual or anything. That's just aberrant behavior.
Well, then I'd send them to buy Ayn Rand's collected works as fast as possible, because I have personal great worries about people who come across with that. You get a lot of them in the New Age movement. And the next quote, the next thing that comes out of their mouth is all this stuff about universal love and brotherhood and all this other nonsense.
Right.
So I would immediately tell them, well, I've got real severe worries about you, because you're a kind of person who's lost the grip of even knowing what evil is. And if anyone in the human race ever, as Ayn Rand clearly said, starts to get blurry about what evil is, it will automatically lead them to be blurry in the end about what good is. And then we're really screwed, you know. So my situation in life is to help people to focus on calling a spade a spade. There are loveless and evil and unlovable people in this world. There are people who do the most brutal, crazy things. I obviously mitigate. I'm not talking about all criminals or people on death row. Many of those people were forced to do what they did. They're compelled to do what they did. They're not evil people. They may be, in fact, very moral people, and their boundaries may have been crossed to such a tremendous extent that then they reacted. So I'm not extremist, but at the same time, I do know that there is evil in the world, conscious, deliberate evil. It's been, I say, very age-old, and I've even spent time talking about who the people are that I consider to be evil, these various popes and these various royals and these, creatures of the Illuminati and various other people. So it exists. It absolutely exists. We have to be crystal clear about that. And we have no chance of holding on to what is the good if our vision, about evil gets in any way lessened or blurred. The religious people of the world have made it so. They've made it very complicated. So yes, if you're talking about evil in a metaphysical, religious, theological context, I'll agree with you that then we have lots of problems, not less being that the people who talk about the greatest good, like religious people, are doing the greatest evil. So yeah, we got a real paradox there. But I think in normal conversation with sane people, there's no doubt about it that, the abuse of animals, the abuse of nature, the treatment of women, the kind of ongoing, massacres in the world, that Genghis Khan wanted to wipe out, and I'm not joking here, Genghis Khan literally wanted to wipe out the entire Eastern Europe and into Europe just to graze sheep. That's evil. The slaughter of women during the period of the Great Wars of Islam, when the Templars cities were, invaded and women were just bayoneted and all the rest of it. There's plenty of evidence.
You mean there's other things besides the Jewish Holocaust that were evil, Michael? No.
Well, there were. And then, of course, the death of any group, even including Jews. There have been pogroms, not just the Holocaust, but there's been pogroms in the Russian Pale, in Lithuania, all over the world, in Spain, and so forth and so on. There's been Irish massacre. In fact, my Irish Origins of Civilization is an attempt to bring the wholesale slaughter of the Druids, which seems to have always got a footnote, if that, is actually one of the world's first genocides. In fact, it occurred even before the Maya and the Aztecs were wiped out. So genocides we have plenty. Seems to be a strange absence of Native American Indian people in North America, precisely because of a thing called genocide. Same in the South of America, So we definitely have, what the Romans did to the Druids and what the Atlantists did. And, oh my God, I could just go on and on and on.
With our media, though, and it seems like
there you go. Yeah.
they obsess, the bias is to obsess about the Jewish Holocaust. And as I explained to you, I happen to come from a Jewish family. But, by all means, why are we going to sit here and obsess about the Jewish Holocaust, blah, blah, it's ridiculous. But I digress. Michael, and even more of a troubling thing to me are people out there that don't necessarily think evil does or does not exist, but they think, well, if I could just think positive thoughts, right? And this is the whole secret, the mumbo jumbo. If I could just think positive thoughts, and if I don't think the negative thoughts, that everything's going to be okay. Now, my thoughts create my reality, so who cares if there's evil? As long as I don't think evil thoughts and I don't attract that, I'll be okay, and I can be as apathetic as possible. I have a bone to pick with people with that sort of philosophy.
I understand. I think that it's very good that people hold those theories. Of course, they look better on paper than most people actually do. I'm all for living a good life. I'm all for morality and for trying to do the most good that you can do and the least evil you can do. And I think that the vast majority of human beings operate on that basis. If there was no religion in the world, sort of John Lennon perfect world, there definitely would be people doing that. However, my quibble or my analysis of those kinds of statements will always focus on what a person means by I. When they say that I will do this or I'm going to do that or I want to live a good life, this is a person, people who are speaking this are usually very psychologically, how would you say it, psychologically confused, or I use the word ignorant just in the slightest way, psychologically ignorant about what is an I. Because we all know that what we intend to do, we often end up doing the very opposite. I mean, on a daily basis, I'm going to be really nice to people today, and then you're rude, or, whatever. So, you can't really always say that you're going to do something and then do it, So, what we need to do is find out who is this I that is speaking. And there's your psychology again, in which we get into who is the me, who is the I, who is this voice in my head that I've always assumed is myself. Is it a pseudo-self or is it a real self?
Sure, but people have no sense of self, Michael. That's a shame. They're controlled by the programming of the television, lose themselves. We got to take a quick break, Michael, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm tired of it, Michael. There's people out there, and they wake up and they see what's going on, and they're mad as hell, and then they put their head in the sand like an ostrich. And I'm tired of it. People need to get active. These are serious times.
Well, it's all in their own time. I've said many times that I know it's frustrating, and that's okay that it's frustrating, and we should hold that frustration and examine it. But at the same time, we mustn't become mini tyrants ourselves. The unawakened person is meant to be unawakened. We can't be blaming the architects of control for what they do, which is largely tyrannous, and then become sort of mini tyrants by forcing people to be where they're not. In one sense, especially if people are familiar with my work, they'll know that I'm always talking about that it never will happen where everybody is ever going to waken up. You can just completely jettison that from a consciousness. My work specifically is only for a very few people, always has been, always will be. And therefore, that's my focus. I've never entertained any collectivist ideas about everybody getting anything all in one big go or whatever. You will have larger movements waking up. That's where we're at right now. But to really suggest things like, that the rank and file ever change their life in any extraordinary way is absolutely, illogical in my way, because look how many great philosophers and teachers we've had down through the years, and they didn't manage it. So it's really not possible. And I think we have to just accept that. And the most important thing is that the individual is the one who does the homework and wakes up.